Ladies and gentlemen, and children of all ages, welcome to True Crime with the Bad Girl, the Playa, and the Stars. I'm Benny Scala, a.k.a. the Playa, a.k.a. Benny the Jet. And with me, as always, is my partner in True Crime. She's a Cauliflower Alley and New England Professional Wrestling Hall of Famer, Reverend Archie's mom and booking agent, and she has the most evil cackle on earth. And I could only be talking about the very bad co-host, the one and only Boston Bad Girl, Brittany Brown. Brittany, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
We were trying to get the cackle on the air, but we couldn't arrange the proper technology. So, and that other guy there, normally I'd introduce him next, but what we're going to do is we're all going to sing. Ready, Brittany?
Yes.
1, 2, 3. Happy birthday,
to you. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday, dearest Dave.
Dear Dave.
Happy birthday
to you.
And many more. Blow out the candles.
Yay!
All right. Well, happy birthday, Dave.
Thank you so much. That's very kind of you.
Tomorrow, right, officially, but you've been celebrating the last couple of days.
Oh, what a weekend. Great weekend. First of all, thank you to everybody. Mrs. P, thank you for the birthday shout out. I had a great weekend, a great Monday. Friday night, I was at the Garden for SmackDown with my daughter and her boyfriend, Joe. Saturday, I went out for a big birthday dinner with Brittany. And then yesterday, I had a big cookout. And today, I just had some work this morning. And I just had the afternoon off and sat in the sunshine and had a Diet Coke. It's just a great weekend and a great Monday. Thank you, everyone.
Very nice. Well deserved.
And I swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me.
Amen. Was the carnival closed today?
The carnival has been closed for a couple of days. The carnival's been partying. Partying since Friday. He's been partying since Friday night. The carnival.
Main attraction. Look at that. Brittany, show yours too.
One of my birthday presents. There she goes. Don't lift it up too high.
Right,
it's so big it hangs off of me.
Give a quick shout out to all these people in the chat room. Mrs. P, Denise P, Joe Gadis, and Beth the Playmate. Who else we got? Chris DiCarlo as well. Thanks everybody for hanging out with us. You're going to enjoy this one. So for those of you in Radio Land, thanks for listening on Want Radio. I just want to make sure I turned it on. Yes, I did. Good for me. You Want It, They Got It. We're also now available on Apple Podcasts, Podbean, Spotify, iHeart, Player FM, Podchaser, and Boomplay. And please hit the like and subscribe if you have not already done so. So, guys, this week we're going to cover what may be the most polarizing case in our lifetimes. Bill Cosby, on April 26, 2018, America's dad was found guilty of 3 felony charges of aggravated indecent assault stemming from the drugging and molesting of a young woman in his Philadelphia home 14 years prior. He was sentenced to 3 to 10 years in state prison. In June of 2021, Cosby's conviction was overturned by a Pennsylvania appeals court on the grounds that he was granted immunity from prosecution during his 2005 civil trial. There is so much more to this, and the bad girl is going to give us some details. And I think what will follow will be a very lively chat. So, bad girl, take it away.
Yes. In January 2004, Andrea Constan, a former Temple University employee, accused Bill Cosby of drugging and fondling her. However, in February 2005, Montgomery County, Pennsylvania DA Bruce Castor said there would be no charges due to insufficient, credible, and admissible evidence. Constan then filed a civil claim in March 2005 with 13 women as potential witnesses if the case went to trial. Cosby settled out of court for $3.38 million in November 2006. On October 16th, 2014, as part of a stand-up comedy routine in Philadelphia, Hannibal Buress advised Cosby's legacy of talking down to young Black men about their mode of dress and lifestyle. Buress criticized the act as public moralizing by saying, "Yeah, but you raped women, Bill Cosby." So that kind of brings you down a couple of notches. When
Good
the
point.
he had to respond to Buress's accusation as an incredulous joke, he encouraged everyone to search Bill Cosby rape on Google. Buress had used the same Cosby routine for the previous 6 months with little response, but word of the October performance spread rapidly after being posted on Philadelphia's magazine's website. Media coverage intensified with numerous publications tackling the question of how Cosby managed to maintain, as Buress called it, in his routine, a Teflon image despite over a decade of public sexual abuse accusations.
Now, the person making that comment, Joe, could only be related to me, but that's a good one.
On July 6th, 2015, a judge makes public Cosby 2005 deposition from the Andrea Constand civil suit. In the documents, Cosby admits to obtaining quaaludes to give young women he intended to have sex with. On July 18th, after obtaining the full 1,000-page deposition from the Constand case, the New York Times publishes excerpts that detail his history of womanizing with women as young as 19. And that's only what they know about.
Right, exactly.
On December 30th, 2015, Cosby was arraigned on felony charges of criminal sexual assault stemming from the 2004 incident with Andrea Constand. On May 24th, 2016, Montgomery County District Judge Elizabeth McHugh, related to Joe McHugh, finds in a preliminary hearing that there is enough evidence for the criminal trial to proceed. On February 24th, 2017, the judge rules only one of the 13 other accusers prosecutors had planned to call to the stand may testify at the criminal trial.
I don't get that. Why is that? You know, you have all this evidence. Why, you know, when you get sworn in, you what do you testify to? Tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And yet they want to keep the truth out of the court. So I don't get it.
Power and money. Power and money.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely.
That is my honest to God opinion in this whole case.
Oh yeah, if you had to summarize the entire case, absolutely.
Yep. So on June 17th, 2017, after 5 days and 52 hours of deliberations, the 12-person jury is unable to reach a unanimous verdict and a mistrial is declared. How shocking.
Right.
Montgomery County DA Kevin Steele said he intends to retry Cosby at a later date. So then on January 18th, 2018, prosecutors in the Cosby case make a request for 19 of the actor's accusers to testify in court. Prosecutors originally wanted 13 accusers to testify in the original trial, but only one was allowed, with the defense arguing that it would prejudice the jury.
Well, I mean, isn't that the whole idea? Like, if you have evidence, of course it's going to prejudice the jury.
But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
isn't that how it works? Don't know. Oh, so
Thanks, Babe Ruth.
oh, thank you. On April 9th, 2018, on the first day of the scheduled retrial, a topless woman charges at Cosby. Where were you, Dave? As
Well,
he enters the Norristown, Pennsylvania courthouse. The woman was a protester with Women's Lives Matter, and she came within a few feet of Cosby before she was intercepted by sheriff's deputies.
Dave, that happens at the carnival every day, though, pretty much, right? That's like standard operating procedure.
Oh, I mean, they charge at me with love, though. They come at me with love and lust in
Right.
their
Oh,
eyes. You know what I mean? And you know what? What
not
are you gonna do?
protest.
You know, not to protest.
Right.
No, they come to with love and lust in their eyes for the carnival operator. You know.
Okay.
Right.
But topless like that?
Uh,
Sometimes?
no, I have to work at it. You know, it's a little bit of work. You get behind
Okay.
there, you try to get the thing unhooked, and you know all that. It's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work, yeah.
You know.
On April 26, 2018, Cosby is found guilty in his retrial over accusations made by former Temple University employee Andrea Constan. The jury found him guilty on all three counts of aggravated indecent assault stemming from former Temple University employee Constan's accusation that the comedian molested her in 2004 at his home outside of Philadelphia. On September 25th of the same year, Cosby is sentenced to 3 to 10 years in Pennsylvania prison and declared a sexually violent predator whose name will appear on a sex offender registry sent to neighbors, schools, and victims. Yay. On June 30th, 2021, his sexual assault conviction was thrown out Wednesday by Pennsylvania's highest court in a ruling that swiftly freed the actor, there he is, from prison more than 3 years after he was found guilty of drugging and molesting Temple University employee Andrea Constand at his suburban Philadelphia mansion. Cosby, 83, was the first celebrity tried and convicted in the Me Too era, and his conviction was seen as a turning point in the movement to hold powerful men accountable for sexual misconduct. The split court found that Cosby was unfairly prosecuted because the previous DA had promised the comedian, once known as America's Dad, that he wouldn't be charged over Constan's accusations. Cosby was charged by another prosecutor who claimed he wasn't bound by that agreement. The court said that's not the case. The justices found that Cosby relied on that promise when he agreed to testify without invoking his Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination in a lawsuit brought against him by Constand. The court concluded that prosecutor who later brought the charges was obligated to stick to the non-prosecution agreement, so the conviction cannot stand. The justices wrote that denying the defendant the benefit of that decision is an affront to fundamental fairness, particularly when it results in a criminal prosecution that was foregone for more than a decade.
But the 63 women that he assaulted, fuck you all, right? That's pretty much. Why don't they just add that as well?
Yep. I'm going to tell you something. This here is nothing. And I don't mean, first of all, man, he must have had you ever got allergies? He must have actually cost him a lot of money for nasal spray. But other than that, this here is absolute black privilege and black power at its worst, right here. Just as we have white privilege, just like we have white privilege and white power that gets people out of trouble, this is absolute black privilege and black power at its finest. And to allow this guy who was deemed a sexual predator and a rapist to get out of jail is absolutely disgusting. And then you wonder why people do what they do in this country, because they know, well, what's the repercussions going to be? You know, that's disgusting. And obviously, for years, people must have been going over. He was in prison for 3 years. They must have been going over everything with a fine-tooth comb, looking at every single line, every single word, and they finally found something to get him out.
Right.
Yeah,
I agree. And I think Joe makes a really good point here. I think as a society, we often associate a famous character, someone plays with their actual personality. So, in our minds, this is, everybody thinks, oh, he couldn't have done that. He's America's dad. He does commercials for Jell-O pudding pops with kids. It can't be him. But what I was going to say, though, is that I think the whole premise is bullshit anyway, because what they're saying is that when he testified in the civil trial, that he was granted immunity, and therefore that it can't be used against him. However, However, that was never in writing. That agreement was something oral, was never put in writing, and was never signed off by a judge. So therefore, it's null and void. I don't get how you're so worried about the justice given to a piece of shit who ruined the lives of 63 other women. And I don't know about you guys. I listened to there's a podcast called Chasing Cosby, and they had a lot of these women give their testimony, and it was like a broken record. It was all the same MO. A lot of them were aspiring actresses who were models, and Cosby would reach out to these modeling agencies and say, I'd like a young, aspiring model / actress that I can mentor. And then, once he got her, I'll help you. I'll help you get jobs. I'll give you acting lessons. Next thing you know, she's in his hotel room. Drink this wine or take this pill. It'll relax you. And next thing you know, she's got a Jell-O pudding pop in her mouth that's not one of the ones that Jell-O sells.
That's carnival talk right there.
Right.
Listen.
Yeah, it's pretty gross.
I have to admit, I loved this show in the 80s. I watched it all the time.
Oh, absolutely.
I hate to admit it. I don't know if you believe, or anybody out there in the chat room believes. Do you believe in outgrowing something? Because, I used to love Cosby in the 80s. I loved it. And I used to love Billy Joel in the 70s. But I can't stand either one anymore in my 60s. I don't know why. I put Bill Cosby on the other night to watch him, the Bill Cosby show, and it just didn't do anything for me. I couldn't watch it. But I loved it in the 80s.
But is it because of what he's done? Or now with Billy Joel, did you just outgrow his music, or is it things that Billy Joel as a person has done?
I mean, I don't know. I'll always love his song that he sang, "Just the Way You Are." That's one of my favorites.
One of the greatest songs ever.
But I think I used to love him in the 70s. Now you could come and give me a ticket and I wouldn't go to his concert. He doesn't do anything for me. I don't know if people believe in outgrowing something. I don't know. I never outgrew Rod Stewart.
No, it can happen. I'll say this, being that Joe's in the chat room, Joe's mom and I, because my dad loved Bill Cosby. And this was going back to the I Spy days in the early 60s. And he would buy his comedy albums. And they were really funny. And my sister Joy, Joe's mom, and I would sit in the basement and listen to these records and laugh our asses off. I mean, I thought the guy was great. He was funny. He was a great actor. I mean, I watched everything he ever did, even Fat Albert, you name it. But it's funny that my two favorite celebrities as a child turned out to be two of the biggest pieces of shit that ever roamed this earth. One is Cosby, and the other one's Jerry Lewis. That Jerry Lewis, he wasn't a criminal, but he was a horrible human being.
Yeah.
He abused his children terribly. Terribly abused his kids.
Everybody. I mean, even Dean Martin. He did Dean Martin wrong. I always thought, when I heard about their breakup, it's like, that Dean Martin kicked Jerry Lewis to the curb, when in actuality, it was the other way around.
Right.
Right.
Well, I never watched Cosby. Never, not once.
Really?
So I didn't love him.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
When I heard about it, I first heard about it the same way that I just read to you. I never heard anything ever about him abusing women until that comedy show. And I heard that, and it opened a can of worms. And I think I think probably maybe half of the people knew and half of the people in this world didn't know that he had done this. I had no idea, because I don't read the newspapers and I don't watch the news, because I hate bad stuff. So I just don't. I've been that way my whole life.
I walk on a treadmill at the gym with my head down, because I right in front of me is Fox, to the left is CNN, to the right is NBC, and I don't want to see any of them. So I just keep my head down.
Yep. So I don't. When I heard about Hannibal doing that bit and how it became so big and how an investigation started and stuff afterwards, I was like, oh my God. I mean, was that his intent? I think it was. I don't know what you guys think about that. Do you guys think that was his intent, to get him to, to get the prosecutors to prosecute and investigate and prosecute this case?
Well, I mean, very well could be. I mean, I think, Bill Cosby made it a point to show that he was. I believe this too, and I believe, like a lot of what Hannibal said, there was a lot of truth in it. That you're lording, you're all high and mighty, you're perfect, and you're lecturing other black people on how to behave, while in the meantime you're worse than anybody. And I think he was just tired of the guy's bullshit, and he called him out on it. And unfortunately for Cosby, it went viral.
Yeah.
I
totally agree.
Yep, I agree with Benny. Absolutely, fucking pervert.
Yeah, I mean,
so I want to ask you this then: if what he did in civil court doesn't apply to criminal court, that's why they let Bill Cosby out. Then in the Karen Reed case, she was not convicted, found not guilty in criminal court. Shouldn't that apply to the civil court too? Then shouldn't they throw that out? That's basically what they did with Bill Cosby.
Well, I mean, like with OJ was found not guilty in criminal and guilty in civil. So you never really know.
No.
Yeah. I mean, I hope to God they throw that case out, because that's a waste of the court's time, I think.
It so is.
It really, go find the real killers, for God's sake, and then then we'll talk about it.
Right.
Yeah, we'll touch on that on the update segment later on in the podcast.
Yeah. So, I mean, what do you think about Cosby's wife? Like, is she blind? Is she dumb? I mean, does she just like his money?
All three.
Well, I can tell you one thing about his wife. Noses don't matter to her, because that guy got one big, fat, ugly nose. So noses don't matter to her. I can tell you that. But hey, when you get used to a lifestyle, when you're so used to a lifestyle and you're used to that money coming in, and you're used to your nice pedicures and manicures and your eyebrows done and your hair done, and the lifestyle catches you, you're gonna stand by your man.
Yeah, but even if, like, I could understand, if it cheats on you once, maybe cheats on you twice. 63 women came forward, and that expression, where there's smoke, there's fire. I mean, that was a fucking mushroom cloud.
Absolutely.
Big time.
And that's a shame.
Big time.
You know, that's a fucking shame that they threw this case. They allowed him to walk. I watched him walk out of that courtroom. Watched it live. I watched him go home live, and it's disgusting that they let him out of that courtroom. It's disgusting.
Yep.
They went through all these files with a fine tooth comb, and they stopped and they were going by the files and said, "Wait a second, we can use this to get him out. That's what we're going to do," and that's what they did. Yeah, and the poor girls. I mean, that's just disgusting.
But nobody's saying like, well, he didn't do it. Like, you know, when he was convicted, nobody was saying, you know, this is an injustice. I mean, of course, his lawyers are going to appeal because that's what lawyers do.
Right.
You know, but I didn't hear like a big outcry like, oh, he didn't do this. You know, one thing I did hear a lot of, and I want to hear and even in the chat room, a lot of people on social media commented, well, he's, you know, 80-something years old, leave him alone. Or, you know, these things happened 30 years ago. And my response to anybody who said that was, all right, well, if it was your mother or your sister, would you be responding that way? And of course, nobody had an answer to that.
Exactly. And furthermore, how many people didn't come forward?
Right.
I absolutely believe that number is probably, I'm going to say times 10, and I'm not kidding you. These people just didn't want to come forward now, because if they were 25 when it happened, maybe they're 45, 55, 65 now. There was some yeah, exactly. I always wondered that too. You know, why would a 65-year-old grandmother, for example, want to come forward on something that she's never even told to anybody, even in her own family, maybe, or maybe even maybe told nobody, or maybe just a therapist?
Well, that brings up another question, though. Like, you know, a lot of the people were saying, well, why didn't these women, you know, speak up sooner? But
right,
in my mind, you know, back in the 70s, even the 80s, even into the 90s, you know, the minute, this is my perception, the minute a woman spoke out, you know, the immediate reaction was, you know, either you encouraged it or you were making it, you know, you made it up, or it was consensual, whatever. I mean, and you're not dealing with a jabroni like, you know, like me. You're dealing with a powerful multi-millionaire celebrity like Bill Cosby, who's got, you know, he's got more lawyers than you know you could count, and you know he can out-lawyer you to easily. So you're fighting this tremendous. I really applaud this Andrea Constant lady for having the guts to go forward, and then the women that did come out, you know, maybe late, maybe too late, but you know, at least they did, and they supported her.
Right. But you know what I have a problem with is, so Benny, you brought up that this was a verbal agreement. So that's the biggest problem I have. But
right.
And I could be wrong in this, so correct me if I'm wrong. Am I understanding it correct when you say the reason why it got thrown out was because of that verbal agreement? But wasn't that verbal agreement only for the Andrea Constant case? Was it for the 62 others?
No, and that's a good point, though. All right, no, absolutely, you're absolutely correct. So theoretically, I mean, I would say, well, I guess he's got a gotcha, because at this point, I guess any of the other ones, I was going to say they could try him on the other ones, but I would almost be willing to bet that every single one of them, the statute of limitations has expired.
Yeah.
So he wins. I mean, I don't know how he really wins. I mean, you know, he wins now. I believe that my saying is always that no matter what, even like with OJ, when OJ got acquitted, I said someday he's going to meet a lot higher judge than Lance Ito, and there's going to be real justice done.
Yeah.
And I look
at the same thing with Cosby.
See, I look at when I look at cases like this, I look at, like, I go into my mind, go into my head, and I look at it from a corruption type way. So what I'm trying to say is, even before all this heat came down on Cosby, how much money was he funneling into the private sector, or who knows, into police departments, in the courts, and they have friends. How much money was he funneling to the private sector before any of this even happened?
Absolutely, and I agree with Brittany. I mean, as far as the victim count, and there was on that Chasing Cosby, they interviewed. He's passed away now, but a gentleman that went up. He met Cosby, I think, when Cosby was a struggling comedian, but he wound up getting a job with NBC later on, and he said Cosby would give him money all the time to go buy money orders. And send them. Send this money to such and such, and there were always women. Wow. Yeah, and but he didn't want his name signed on the money order, so he had the guy sign it, and that was many years ago.
And then, so look how long he's been doing it.
God only knows. Like you said, if 63 came forward, what's the multiplier? Even if the multiplier is 3, it's 189, almost 200 women. And these are,
that's right.
Not being a woman, but I just listening to these women, they sounded very, very genuine and sincere. And I mean, some of these women, it happened 40 years ago, and they're still struggling with it.
Right.
Right. Absolutely. And, I got 2 daughters and I got a granddaughter, and God, I mean, sometimes you can overlook how, if you're a male, I'll just say if you're a male, sometimes you can overlook how hard it must be to make the decision to come out and say something against somebody that rapes you that's just nobody in society. But to try to make the decision to come out against somebody who's rich and famous and powerful in society, that really must weigh on you at night when you're sleeping, your mind. That's it seems like an easy decision if it doesn't happen to you, but it seems like a hard decision.
Well, I think Joe is saying that right here. He walked. Think of the public. You're really rolling the dice. If you come forward, you are rolling the dice that you are going to be put through the torture mill. And, the bottom line is a very good chance with all that money and, all those lawyers, that he's just going to walk. And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I do think, I don't know if you guys remember this or not, but I think one thing that made the case look kind of bad for women, and I know it was only one person, but because of who it was, it really made me go, why didn't you just shut up? It was Janice Dickinson. When she came forward, she was like the last person to come forward after all these other women came forward. She came on, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, she looked either like she was drunk or on something when she was being interviewed. And she said it happened to her too. But she was babbling, and it was embarrassing.
Yeah.
The one thing that I have a problem with, and I don't want the women out there to take offense to this, because like I said, I got 2 daughters, the Stars, and my granddaughter. But the problem I got with it is when a woman comes 25, 30 years later and says, hey, I was raped by this guy, whether it's a celebrity or just somebody famous, somebody in your community or whatever. I got a problem with that. I really do. Because
Me too.
I don't know if it's, first of all, I don't know if it's the truth 30 years later.
Exactly.
And if it is, why did you wait 30 years or 25 years?
Right.
I got a problem with that when it comes to that with women. I'm sorry. I don't mean to offend the women out there, but I got a problem with that.
Yeah,
I don't mean to come off there. I don't mean to come off as a heel, but that's just that really bugs me.
I don't care who says it, a man or a woman. Why are you holding it in for 30 or 40 years and coming out with it now? I don't care who you are or what sex you are, what race you are. Why did you hold it in for 40 years or 30 years?
Well,
It
I
makes
mean,
no sense.
we've seen it happen before, like the Catholic Church. All of a sudden, all these kids who
Yep.
got molested as altar boys. The first case came out, it's like the floodgates open, and like I don't know how many all over the country, and even with Michael Jackson,
Yep.
years one kid came forward. Now, I mean, the problem with, and this is just me, is like at some point you question, all right, did they just want a payday now, or did it
Right.
really take them that long to come forward? Like you kind of wonder, right? It's just human nature.
Yeah.
I feel sorry for them. I believe if it happened to them, they deserve justice, and they do deserve
Right.
a payday. But 35 or 30 years later, that's a tough one. That's a
Yeah.
tough one. But they still deserve justice. They still deserve justice.
But I mean, the thing is, to me, like, I mean, they're not going to have their cases heard. They can't. Well, I guess they could sue Cosby, but no judge would. If it's 30, 40 years, they're going to throw it out. I think the statute of limitations would even apply in a civil trial as well. But the fact that maybe if they could help put one more brick in the wall to convict this guy, then maybe they felt good that they did at least that.
Right.
The problem is they built that beautiful brick wall, and then 3 years later, the judge smashed it.
Exactly.
Right. Have you seen this guy since? I watched him go to his house. I watched him come out of court. I watched him go to watched him go walk into his house. I haven't seen him since. Has anybody seen him since?
I think he's 88 now, or 87, 80s. He's keeping a pretty low profile. And
well, at least he has enough fucking brains to do that, I guess.
Right.
Unlike
I mean,
some other
and he doesn't need to work. I mean, I think he's worth 200 million. It ranges between 200 and 400 million, but even on the low end, I think 200 million with at his age, I don't think he's going to be able to spend that all.
A fucking Jello pudding fuck.
I mean, if it was an average, middle class Joe who mistreated or abused 63 women, do they get the same verdict?
Absolutely.
No way.
No way. Absolutely not. You kidding me? No way. Absolutely not. That's why I said black privilege, black power.
Yep. Well, is it famous? Because he's
money and
famous,
celebrity?
no matter what color he was or is. That's what I say. Fame and fortune is how he got out of this, not because of the color of his skin. I think it's because of
I would agree. I think it's a combination of like Joe said before. These people, they portray these characters, and in your mind, Bill Cosby is Cliff Huxtable. How could he do that? He's a family man. He's America's dad. He's Mr. Jello Pudding Pop. Although, that's a good point by Joe.
Absolutely.
He was a gynecologist on the show. Yes, he was a gynecologist. Very good, Joe. He was a gynecologist on the show.
Or as Archie Bunker used to call him, a groinecologist.
I love that guy. I watch Archie Bunker all the time. I love him. Love that show. I love all those characters. Yeah.
Yeah, this is a good comment here. Where's
your mother?
I really think that now the other question is, do you think the first DA, let's go back to 2005, this Bruce Castor guy, do you think if he worked a little bit harder and tried this as a criminal case in 2005, do you think that there would have been a different outcome, or you think it would have been the same thing?
I think there possibly would have been a different outcome, but I think it all comes down to fame and fortune. That's what I think. I really do.
And you know what? I'm sitting here in my mind and I'm thinking, I'm thinking, doesn't that blow your mind that he was called America's dad too? That's fucked up. That just blows my
I
fucking
know.
mind that he was called America's dad. And this piece of
I
shit
know.
knew the whole time. This piece of shit
Well,
knew the whole time what he did to these women.
I'm going to go back to my nephew Joe, and he can ask his mom. My sister and I, every Labor Day weekend, we watched. I mean, from the minute we woke up till the minute we went to bed, we watched Jerry Lewis on these telethons,
Yeah.
and we absolutely not worshipped. But I mean, pretty close. We thought Jerry Lewis was the greatest thing on earth, and I mean, he turned out to be the polar opposite. So I mean, again,
Yeah.
with that expression, be careful when you meet your celebrities, because I guess I was lucky, Dave. Bruno was my hero. I met Bruno, and boy, oh boy, I was nothing but happy. I mean, he exceeded my expectations.
Right. Yep. That was my hero growing up, Bruno, and Rod. Other than my mother and Jesus, those were my two heroes.
Oh yeah, of course.
And but I kick myself in the ass now because boy, I just loved that show, The Cosby Show, back in the 80s. I just loved. I never missed it. I never missed it. Loved that show, and man, I put it on the other night and I watched it for about 15 minutes, and it wasn't doing anything for me anymore. I don't know. Maybe
I couldn't watch it. Brittany, I have a question to you as a female, though. Like, if you were Mrs. Bill Cosby, at what point would you have kicked him to the curb? And at what point would you have kicked him to the curb?
I would say in the first accusation, because I think she had to have known something. All this money doesn't disappear all the time. And this guy doesn't go out, all the time without his wife. I mean, I think she didn't travel with him nearly as much as most famous people's wives travel with them.
No,
I don't think.
I mean, they had a large family too.
Yep. And I think she had to have known something. I just do. Yeah, that's right.
That's a very good point. Thank God.
That's true. But you know what? I never heard his name until he got in trouble.
No, same here.
It's like, yeah, okay, but I don't know.
I mean, this civil trial back in 2005. Now, she had to know that there were 13 women lined up, ready to testify that he did the same thing that he did to Constant. I mean, you're okay with that? Do you believe him that none of that ever happened? Like I said, one or two, yeah, sure, but like 13, which grew to 63, which is probably hundreds.
Absolutely. She had to have known something.
That's why I could never understand that Minnesota Viking player who went on to go on like I think his name was he used to do the same, handsome black guy, Darren Sharper, I think his name, Darren Sharper. He used to play for the Vikings, and he was on. He used to go on the football shows every Sunday. One of them, I forget which one. He was part of a team, Darren Sharper. I don't know if anybody out there in the chat room knows what I'm talking about, but he was doing the same thing. He was a very, very handsome black man. He would pick up these women. He'd bring them back to where he lived. He was a big, famous Minnesota Viking player. He had retired, and he would drug them. That's what he was doing, drugging and raping them. And I don't understand why you do that. Like, why? You can go have any girl you want. Like Cosby, you can have any girl you want. You're rich. Go get a prostitute. I don't know. Maybe it's the kill. Is that what it is? Except it's the kill. It's the drugging and the rape that gives him a high or something. I don't know. I think the guy's name was Darren Sharper.
Darren Sharper, yes. That's the name.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. That's him. And very handsome guy. big guy, very successful with the Minnesota Vikings, and he's in jail right now. I
That's a
don't
good
understand that though. I
Yeah,
don't get
see,
why
now-
people.
yeah.
I don't see
I
why
don't
people do that. I mean, go get a hooker. You know, I mean,
Well-
when I say go get a hooker, I'm talking, you know, not on the street. I'm talking, you know, I don't know. I don't get these guys.
Well, you know,
Well, I think it's like you said, the kill. To rhyme with that, I think it's the thrill.
I think so too, because yeah, absolutely.
Just like we talked about Aileen Wuornos. Her thrill, her high was killing a man. And she kept doing it over and over and over again.
Right.
And this guy's thrill or high was getting girls so high that they were defenseless and he could do whatever he wanted to them. And
Right,
they
and
didn't have any memory of it afterwards.
And there was a pattern of not just doing that, but even before that, like grooming these girls. I mean, reaching out to a modeling agency, you know, getting a young girl, and then he would interview her. And a lot of times, and we always talk about how these girls with the not so great childhood, and he would interview them. And I think one of the podcasters said he was trying to find that chink in the armor, that vulnerability, like an issue with her father or issues with a broken home. And then those are the ones he selected to groom. You know, I'll give you acting lessons, I'll pay to send you to acting school. And then, eventually I want you to read some lines for me. And it's ironic because a lot of times he was performing in Las Vegas or Reno, and he'd, come up to my room. He'd give him the pill or the wine or the antifreeze, whatever the hell he gave him. And but I mean, in Nevada, you can legally have an escort without getting in trouble. So I think it really it wasn't the sex or the I think it was, or the money. I think it was just the power and the control that you could manipulate people's lives like this.
He was he was Jeffrey Epstein before Jeffrey Epstein was Jeffrey Epstein. This guy was the original Jeffrey Epstein. He was the original Jeffrey Epstein, this motherfucker. Before Jeffrey, at least Jeffrey Epstein, to my knowledge, didn't drug his women. He just raped them. Not just raped them, but raped them. This motherfucker was drugging them and raping them. Piece of shit.
I mean, I wish there was a judge with balls that would come forward and say, and I know it can't happen, but Mr. Cosby, you're worth $200 million. There are 63 victims. I need you to give each victim $3.18 million, whatever 200 divided by 63 is, which is going to be 3.14, whatever it is, and I mean, and that's some measure. I mean, it still doesn't. These a lot of these women are grandmothers now, and they've had to live with this for 40-something years. But I mean, now at least you could secure your family's financial future, but it doesn't. It's not going to erase the hell you lived for decades.
Right.
Yeah. Well,
shame.
There we go.
Babe Ruth says, "Yep." Babe Ruth says, "God will be the judge," but you know what? I'm getting sick of waiting for God to be the judge while these pieces of shit are walking and roaming the earth.
I agree.
Yeah, Joe's right. He paid Constant $3.38 million, I think, but all these other women got the old Gats on Ghoul. You got nothing but heartbreak.
Exactly.
Yeah,
which is disgraceful.
But how much you say? $3 million? That's like that's $100 to him.
Grant money, right?
That's $100 to him.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, Dave, do you have? I believe you have a true crime update for us.
We do have an update tonight on the Karen Reed case. I was investigating some of the people involved there, and I didn't know myself that Dever the girl that testified in the second trial, is now out on a leave of absence, a paid leave of absence. I forget what her first name was, but Dever.
Kelly.
Kelly Dever. Kind of cute. We'd let her in the carnival. We could find a spot in there for her. She wouldn't have to fear for her job. She could just tell the truth in the carnival. But now she's out on a leave of absence. I didn't know that Brian Higgins was on desk duty. I didn't know that. But he is actually on desk duty. And Michael Proctor has gone, I believe he had his first hearing before the commission, the Mass State Police Commission that fired him. And, maybe he's got a point. Well, let's stop and think for a second. He is a piece of shit. We all know what he is. But maybe he's got a point because he's fighting with the commission to get his job back. And his argument today was, hey, listen, these people fired me, but yet they allow me to continue to work and investigate cases and do everything that what my job was. They continue to let me work. Shouldn't they have put me on administrative leave?
Right.
Instead of allowing me to work and giving me other cases. So that's what his lawyer was arguing in court. So who knows? This guy might get his job back. You just never know with the state of Massachusetts. Because it's a liberal state. We got fucked up people who run the state. But those three things I did not know. I didn't know she was actually put on a paid leave of absence. That was very intriguing to me.
And the dog is still MIA.
Yep.
The dog's, who knows where the dog is? He could be under the pool. He could be in Maine. He could be, he could have been adopted by Vladimir Putin for all we know right about now.
Because I do care I care about the dog's welfare.
Yep,
yes,
absolutely.
That's it.
Absolutely. Yep.
And it's even if he bit the guy, I mean, it's not his fault. He had shitty owners.
Right.
Listen, my daughter got Cash. You guys know who Cash is. My granddog, German Shepherd. I fucking love that dog. My daughter's had him for about, I don't know, 4 to 4 years maybe. And I couldn't see ever in this world giving that dog up. Just rehoming him, but giving the dog away. Fuck those people rehome. Giving the dog away to somebody else. It's not even my dog. I spend a lot of time with Cash. And I would be fucking infuriated at my daughter if she did that. She never would, but I'm just using that as an excuse. Why did these people get rid of their dog? They had the dog 7 years, a German Shepherd, and they got rid of it.
Right. You just don't do that.
That just shows you the character of those people.
To me, Bree is as much of a member of my family as any member of my family. And there's not enough money on this earth that would make me give that pup away.
Nope. I totally agree
Joe,
with you.
I agree with Joe. I like dogs more than I like most people. Absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Because you come home, your dog's always glad to see you, right?
You know what I want to do for Joe? You know what I want to do for Joe? Because he said that. Next week, if it's okay with Brittany, I'm not going to wear this carnival shirt next week. Out of respect for Joe and what he said, I got a special shirt that I'm going to wear next week just for Joe and just for all the dogs out there, if that's okay. Because I like what Joe just said. I like dogs more than I like people, and I got a special shirt I'm going to wear next week on the podcast.
You know that Joe is your neighbor somewhat. I mean, I'm not sure exactly what town, but he's like in the Boston burbs.
Oh, okay. Well, exactly what town does Joe live in? Or is he Secret Service? Do we want to keep this under wraps?
Joe's not in the SS, I don't think, and not as far as I
Okay.
know. I mean, he's in Natick. Is that how you pronounce it?
Oh, he's in Natick.
Natick.
He lives in Natick.
Natick.
Yep.
You
Yeah, that's
say
going
Natick,
down.
I say Natick.
That's Doug Flutie area. Doug Flutie played for Natick High School.
Okay.
Absolutely. I don't know if Joe knows who Doug Flutie is, but Doug Flutie was through that great pass in
Against Miami, right? In the was
Miami.
the Orange Bowl?
Yep. He went to Natick High School. Yep, great town, Natick. Natick's a great town.
Didn't they name a cereal after him, Flutie Flakes?
They did. Absolutely. Yep.
I tell you what, for a guy that was not that big, he had a pretty decent career. I mean, mostly in the Canadian Football League, but he had a couple of good seasons in the NFL. He did all right for himself.
He's a
And you know
name.
why? Yep. Go ahead, Brittany.
No, I was just saying he's a name. He's a well-known name.
Because you know what applies to Doug Flutie? It's not the size of the dog. It's not the size of the dog that matters, but the fight in the dog.
Right.
And he had a lot of fight, Doug Flutie. He had talent too. He had talent, but he had a lot of fight in him. You know?
Right. No, hell of a football player.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Had a decent career. Yeah. No, I've said that for many years that I love dogs more than people because dogs love you more than any person ever could because they give you 100% of their heart. They hold nothing back, and you are their entire world. And,
Absolutely.
I mean, no human being can tell you that with a straight face and be truthful.
No. You know, a dog loves you for who you are, not what you have, not how much money you have. And I love dogs. And Joe is absolutely right when he says, I drive a school bus for special needs children. That's what I do for a living. And I love it. I love the kids. I've gotten a lot of accolades from the parents. And Doug Flutie does have a child with autism. And he does a lot for Doug Flutie does a lot for special needs children.
Yep, a lot of charities and events.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. Great guy.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, this was one hell of a case. I want to thank everyone in the live chat as well as anyone who follows our show, be it on Want Radio or any of our new audio platforms. If you haven't already done so, please make sure you subscribe to the Playa Entertainment Network so you won't miss any future episodes. And do not forget to check out The Bad Girl every Saturday from 1 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Funland Radio. 4 hours of excellent classic tunes. I love that show. You can also find yours truly on Want Radio most Sunday afternoons at 3 for Benny the Jet. I've included links for both in the description. And I want to thank everybody in the chat room for a lot of really, really good opinions tonight. I really, you guys make the show that much better because they're all intelligent comments. I mean, some of them are funny,
Right.
but we like that too because, I tell people we have a niche here. We present true crime, but we do it with a little bit of a slant. We throw that humor in there. And I think people like that because, the world's too damn serious and you need to laugh once in a while.
Definitely.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And
absolutely.
we want to thank everyone, especially thank Mrs. P, Denise P, Walt, Joe, the Playmate, Chris DiCarlo. I'm trying to go back here. And Babe Ruth, of course. And there was a guy named I Hate Monty and the Pharaoh. And I don't know if he was real or not, but if he was.
And thank you, everybody in the chat room for the birthday wishes. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right. So this is the one and only Playa on behalf of Brittany Brown and the birthday boy, Dangerous Dave, the Carnival Man, telling everyone to stay safe. And we will see you next crime.
Bye,
Good night,
Miss
all.
P. Bye, Denise.
God bless. Everybody stay safe.